Hello folks, and welcome to a early bird special revisit type episode. I have already shown some Starbound in the past, and I think I ended up at version Angry Koala or something like that. We are now all the way up to apparently Enraged Koala, so hooray. I'm not perfectly clear on how many update versions that is out from the last time I showed this, but it's a fair ways, and I figured I would pop into my current single-player world and show off some of the changes and just some of the things that are going on in the game right now. So, if the game does not crash, I will get in. There we go. It doesn't have crashing problems. That's not usually a thing that I have to worry about. It just sometimes gives me that error when first loading in. Let me see. I may have actually emptied all of my food out of my ship. I did. So I have to go to my planet to eat anyway. So last I played, I was the fish race, the Holotl. This is the robot race's current ship model. Basically the same thing, same exact space requirements with the empty spot. You got your giant inventory thing here. You got your tech and all of that. And then, what is this? Oh, this is, yeah, you can do creature capturing and get little pets, kind of like Pokemon. What I will do is show what other new features they have, which if you pop onto this, which normally lets you beam down to the planet, it now has the option to warp to the planet you're on, or warp to the planet that you have set as your home. So if I hit that, we get the planet I have set as home, which is this awesome volcano planet, which will kill me outright if I'm not careful. And we have this little way station that I've built for myself for when I land. This planet is occasionally plagued by acid rain, which does deal damage if you stand in it, so figured it'd be best to not immediately start taking damage the instant you drop on the planet. This weird rail here is for a system that they actually implemented from a mod. Somebody had put in sky rails, very similar to Bioshock Infinite, and they decided, you know what, that's cool. So they worked with that guy, made it a little more official, cleaned it up a bit, and gave it crafting recipes and things. And if I hit my inventory button, I have the tech of Skyrail Rider, in addition to my awesome butterfly ability. And if I press F, I get this little Skyrail thing that hooks onto any Skyrail I pass through, and I can control which direction I go on it, and I can still control myself. So if it can use my gun, it's actually not a great gun for this level of difficulty, but I can push myself along here and let it go. Get some animals pissed at me as I move, and eventually I drop off at my house, which also has this cool curved roof thing, and my farm. That is a weird looking plant down there. And this is the kind of thing you could always do with the crafting stuff in this game, but I had never actually gotten around to it before now, and I am super happy with how it turned out. I actually went to a bunch of planets and found existing outposts that had designs that I liked and ripped out a lot of their blocks to make this. And so as you can see, I have my little sewer system down there, my septic tanks. I got my fridge, which has some food in it. I got my oven to cook food, which actually, I'm hungry. There we go, should solve that problem. And yeah, so it's honestly really easy to build stuff in here. If I were to pop in here and have my steel blocks here, you actually have pretty considerable range for placing things, which makes it really easy to build houses like this, especially since you place in a 2x2 grid. And so I'm not going to do it now because that would cause problems, but you could basically just stand here and go and do your entire background wall with no trouble whatsoever. So it was not too big a deal to build this house, and I think it looks fairly nice. It's not the most creative thing. It's a giant box on top of another box, but, you know, it works. This is not... Well, I did want to show this off because, you know, I'm full of myself like that. Oh, crap. I have the wrong ability. Thankfully, these are not aggressive. I want this. Something I did want to show that changed is we have this here, the refinery. Since early on, a lot of crafting recipes... Sorry if you heard that door slam. Seems kind of loud. Take the pixels, which is the game's currency, which you can theoretically use to purchase things from shopkeepers, but you have to actually find them first, and then find the ones that are actually selling what you want, you end up running out of them a lot, especially as you start making the more expensive things. Are there even any? Here we go. See, this is 1,400 for this chest piece, 200 for helmets. It's they're not crazy expensive, but some things do get up there. You will end up running out really fast, especially since you do lose about 30% of them when you die. What this allows you to do is take stuff that I don't have, but if you have your ores that you've mined out of the ground before you've made them into bars, you can stick them in here and refine them into pixels. And there's a tier system where copper doesn't give you much, iron gives you a bit more, gold gives you a bunch, and diamonds give you tons. So there's a way to make use of your mining even when you don't actually need the materials you're mining up anymore. You can get money out of it and use that to further your goals. Okay, not sure where I cut there. Somebody decided that was a good time to use the garage door, which is of course situated directly beneath my feet, so it's very loud on the microphone. But this thing is very nice, gets you free money, it's cool. I think I never really got a chance to show off the metal workstation or the robotic crafting table, but these are basically fancier versions of the anvil and the basic crafting table, and they let you build a lot of the really the high-tech stuff, the higher armors, and the these tech upgrades let you get and work with the better metals as time goes on. And then this one is mostly used for the weapons in those sets, as well as beds and doors and things made out of them. You get these by beating the various bosses. The penguin UFO that I believe I already showed, and then one shot in a video a while ago, is the first boss, which you then get the metal core things out of, and I think I stored those somewhere, and I may have stored them on my ship. But I can show you, hopefully. No. I think I stored those on the ship, so I'll go back to the ship. It's quieter than this anyway, I think. And... okay, so I found them. In this chest, when you kill a boss, you get 5 of the special item they drop that allows you to build the next tier of equipment used to build all the next stuff, get to the next set of planets, that sort of thing. And I believe this is because you can theoretically do this in multiplayer, and they want to make sure at least a couple people are able to build the different things. So if everyone has like their own home planet and everyone has their own stuff in their ship or whatever, everyone can actually get the thing and progress themselves. Later on, when progression is not tied to boss killing, but instead to the collection of minerals, the tech upgrades for getting new armors and things actually aren't used up when you craft and use them. So you can use it and then pass it along to your buddy and have them use it and things like that. So once you've gotten past the bosses, everyone's progression is more joined. So that is very nice. I like that change in things. I actually have all those chips here. You build these and you can use them. You get to build the new different types of tech, and then you can move on. They have added a few bosses, I think, since the last time I played, or at least I actually reached them. After the flying UFO, the penguin UFO, there is a deadly robot. There is a bone dragon, which is actually really tough to kill. And then there's a giant jellyfish, which of course you bait to attack you with peanut butter under a cardboard box with a stick holding it up. And that thing is super tanky, but if you can get yourself a little dome and just fight it underneath the dome and shoot up through it, it's not actually that difficult. It's a fun progression system. It's a little tough to work up to the damage you need to take the bosses down sometimes, especially since you're much better off with range, and guns are somewhat rare. And the bows stop doing anything after the first boss, pretty much. So it takes some work getting there, but with a group of people, I imagine it'd be pretty fun to gear up and take down the bosses. Mining, you can basically do what I do and just surface strip mine planet after planet after planet, and you'll never really have to dig deep into planets, which on one hand is nice because it's tough to get back out until you hit the tech level where you have the grappling hook and can just pull yourself out like this. But on the other hand, it means the very deep stuff in the planets doesn't really mean that much, which is a shame because there are actually like hidden compounds and like ruins deep in planets sometimes. If you search around, you will find stuff like that. So you're missing out by not going deep, but on the other hand, it's a pain. So I think they need more options for getting out of the core of a planet. Terraria did that really well with the magic mirror. You got really down deep into the planet, you could, or into the underground and hell and things like that, you could pop right back up to the surface and not have to just kill yourself to get out the easy way. So I think this game could do with something like that. Something I have seen that they are planning to work on, aside from changing creature spawning so that creatures on planets will actually spawn differently based on which biome of the planet they're in, because I'll work the planet show. Planets will actually go between several different biomes as you travel. So they're making it so, okay, certain things will spawn in the tentacle biome. Ouch. But then if you move along, eventually you reach, here we go, I'm getting into desert, and this just becomes actual desert. Notice the background is shifted and everything. Different creatures would spawn there. Actually, maybe this is a desert planet that actually has tentacles in it. Maybe that's why the background is desert. Either way, creatures will spawn differently and mostly spawn in those areas rather than having the same, like, 5 creatures across the entire globe, which should make that more interesting. The other thing they're changing, that's right, what I was going to say, is on your ship, instead of starting the game with your matter manipulator and having this panel here with the tech tree and the 3D printer, which you can use to make items or scan items in to make them later, they have a AI type mock-up that's on your ship that would, as far as their planning, have a different personality based on which race you are. I'll pop up a picture of the UI they have mocked up thus far, if I remember, hopefully. But they have that so you can sort of have a reasoning behind the quest system, because right now the quests just kind of pop up and it's like, bing, do your little quest, hooray! They'll actually have someone telling you, hey, you should do this because this will allow you to progress in the world. So that would give you a bit more incentive to move along. Additionally, something like that would also allow you to understandably make certain things. I think they're planning on, aside from having it make you your matter manipulator, which doesn't make sense that you just have right off the bat anyway, I think it would make sense to have that AI help you in making the various chips that help you go to the new sections of the planets, the new ore technologies, that sort of thing. And it also controls your tech, so that all makes sense. It's sort of the thing that governs your ships. Speaking of ships, they are intending to swap out what is currently in the ships and give you a slightly different shaped base that you'll be able to upgrade and expand, and so this will eventually branch outward. It should become longer, then you can make it taller, and depending on which race you are, your ship may upgrade in different ways, until eventually you can basically have a multi-roomed house as your ship, and you won't be stuck with this tiny little room. Because with the amount of stuff that you're picking up, even with this massive storing thing here, you will eventually run out of space to stick chests in if you're trying to hoard all of it on your ship like I was. Especially if you have all your crafting stuff in here like I previously had. The only reason there are big empty spaces here is that I had other crafting machines in here previously. So it's nice to know that we'll eventually be getting slightly more luxurious places to fly around in. Otherwise, the game is mostly the same right now. I think what it lacks from most is endgame content. Very similar to Terraria's early game, where pretty much you fought the 3 main bosses and then, okay, you're done. Have fun building a house. They've done a lot to add a bunch of different bosses, and they have the sort of horde mode encounters that you can play through now, and so many different varieties of magic and ranged weapons and stuff that there's no longer the you get up to the hallowed armor and you're done. You can really get a couple different versions of things that may be better depending on your playstyle. So I'm hoping they'll kind of put that sort of attention into this game eventually. There are signs of it. There are bits where obviously you can keep going and always have adventures, and if I go to a blank planet I might find something really interesting and that'll be cool, but there's not much depth to it yet. They have this codex thing that has the little story bits behind all the bosses after you kill them. They have your bits that you know about your race from starting out. You can go find books in the towns of the avians or the glitch or whatever and learn about their race and their history and that sort of thing from their books. But there's not much tying the two together. the investigation stuff, which doesn't help much when I have nothing interesting in here. Can I place anything and talk about it? There, I have a railing. Let's see what he says. That's not that interesting. Get it back. Anyway, that kind of stuff helps. There's really some flavorful responses, especially about things like toilets and stuff. That is different for every single race, and that's really fun. But there's not too much else that ties the flavor of the worlds and the stories and all sort of stuff to the worlds themselves. If you go and find a prison, a human prison on some planet, you're not going to be thinking, oh, what is this prison doing here? How did it get abandoned? No, it's just a bunch of prisoners that overran the prison and have weapons and try to kill you now. There's not much to it. So, I'm hoping they add that sort of stuff. Even if they don't, the game is really fun to run around in. I wish I could play it multiplayer, but I think currently they are running on sort of a paid server system, so you find this third party that will run a server for you for a small fee that will, I think, hold up to 20 people, it said, and it won't go down just because the person who owns it shut off their computer for the night. So it's sort of a reliability factor. A lot of Minecraft servers, if the person running it decided they needed to reboot their computer, the whole thing went down. But if you have a paid service, they're generally a little better about always being on, always being up to date, that sort of thing. So, it's not the option I like so much, but it's an option that I can see the sense in. So, that's how that is. Anyway, the game's still fun. If you haven't bought it yet and you're a fan of this kind of game, you might be interested. Totally check out their site. They're still always posting stuff about their upcoming patch notes and what they're working on, and apparently they just moved a lot of their people from various parts of the world together into a singular office, so patches were a little bit slow before, but they'll actually start churning out now that they're all in one location. So, stuff could very well be happening very quickly here in the future. Until something super interesting happens, though, hope you've enjoyed this. Maybe check out the game. And I will see you next time with another of these early access games that I foolishly took part in before I knew for sure if they were going to be good. And we will see how they have fared thus far.